so that if she needs to, she can take a project completely from start to finish in the case of smaller projects that maybe require less employees. So now that you know kind of who is working with this site, Urvashi is going to describe the back end of how our system works.
So here's a list of the languages and the softwares we use to build our system. XHTML is a web programming language, and it is the strict and most current date of the HTML series. CSS is used to style our web pages, and we're using CSS3. Once again, it is the current standard. PHP 4 will be used to dialogue with our database. It is also the version that the Anudip and IMARD servers are operating with. SQL is a common language used to create a database as well as access the information inside of it. It can be adapted for different database management systems, such as Oracle or MySQL in our situation. We are using SQL for MySQL because it is a language that the Anudip and IMARD servers are operating with. Next, we have XML. XML helps us to achieve the conversion component of our system. XML allows programmers to create their own tags. I will be giving an example later on how we are creating our own tags to encompass our data and organize it for our users in a formatted way. For the softwares that we use Adobe Illustrator as well as Adobe Fireworks. Illustrator was used to make the graphics of our presentation as well as the logos and icons of our system. Adobe Fireworks is a prototyping tool. It has functionalities of creating hotspots, which links our prototype images together. This helped us to navigate through our system before building it and understand where the gaps were. Next, let's look at our database. This is an entity relationship diagram. It shows the organizational structure of our database. The blue rectangles represent the tables. The yellow diamonds represent the relationship between those tables. And the green ovals represent the attributes that belong to each table. Let's focus on the left side of this diagram. Here we have the action and the user tables. These two tables help us to understand the different capabilities that each of the 4 users have that Maya had mentioned. Some of the attributes in this action table are assign quality lead or download. From these 2 tables, we can understand that all of our 4 users have the ability to download a project that they are working on. Yet only the admin has the ability to create a project. Moving over to the right-hand side of our diagram, we have tables company, project, and chapter text. Company is used to tell us which companies are associated with each project. And when we say a project, we mean a book. So within the project table, we have attributes such as title, chapters, author, password, description, and code. This is information about our projects or our books within the database. You'll notice that the actual content or the text within the book is not one of the attributes listed in this table. That is reserved for a separate table entitled chapter text. The project table attributes are used to tell us information about that project, which I'll be showing later on in the example. Now that we have all this information in our database organized, how are we going to make it accessible for our users? This is a simplified version, it's a simplified diagram of how we are achieving the conversion part of our system. So we have our data in our database. Upon clicking a download link, the users will be able to access that data. They will see a compressed folder in their browser. Within that folder, we have something called a shelf file. The shelf file has information about the actual project, like those attributes that I had mentioned in the project table, such as the title and the author. Once again, since XML allows us to create our own tags, I'm showing here an example that we created an author tag to show that Jane Austen is the author of this specific project. The other XML files in this compressed folders are the actual chapter texts themselves that are associated with the book. They have been spliced into downloaded and manageable chunks. The reason why we did this is because we anticipate some of our users accessing this data in low bandwidth areas. For this reason, we wanted to give them the option of downloading small portions at a time. Here's a closer look of an example of a shelf file. So this is once again information about the project or book. So we have the shelf tags encompassing our data about the project. Then we have information such as the ID, title, author, company, all tags that we created ourselves, and then the list of chapters themselves. The actual chapter content would be divided up into different chunks as we showed in the previous slide. But enough with all that back end and technical stuff. Now we'd like to show you how our system looks and works. As I had mentioned, we had created a prototype using fireworks to navigate through our system and understand where the gaps were so that we could complete it thoroughly. Elysia is now going to walk you through our functional prototype.
Thank you, Urvashi. So here on the screen, we have displayed our 6 main functionalities that Maya had touched upon earlier. We have create, assign, search, manage, edit, and run. So I'm going to walk through some of the basic functionalities as an admin user, which has all the functionalities who is capable of performing all the functions in our system. So let's look at the create module. We have create user, company, and project. I want to create a user, John Smith. So I'm going to go ahead and go in our system, select from the drop-down menu, user, after which I get the option to select a role and type in the username. I'm going to make John Smith an editor, and I want his username to be J Smith. Let's go ahead and create that. We are led to a success page where J Smith is now an editor. Let's go back to home. I now want to create a project that J Smith will eventually work on. I'm going to go ahead and go to create project. Project is pre-selected in this drop-down menu. There are companies that are preset in the system. So let's say I want to choose McGraw-Hill. I can go ahead and select the literature type. I'm going to go with the project title of Intro to C++, author Sam Thompson. I want 9 chapters in this project, and I want the project description to be programming basics. I'm going to go ahead and create that. Now I've successfully created a project with all the following details. Now, because I'm an admin, I have the ability to assign a person to a project. So I'm going to go ahead and assign J Smith to a project called Intro to C++, which I just created. Under the Assign module, I'm going to go ahead and click on Person to Project. Since I selected J Smith to be an editor, I'm going to go ahead and click on that. Type in his name, select his name from the user list. Now I can go ahead and select the company, which I chose as under McGraw-Hill, and I wanted Intro to C++ as the project title. I'm going to go ahead and assign J Smith to this project, and you can see that we have successfully done that. Going back home, so I can then search for the project or the user. I can also manage J Smith, meaning I could promote him to be a quality lead if need be. I can also edit the project, but I want to highlight this track projects page that we have. So here is an overview of all the projects that are currently being worked on in the system. I created the project under McGraw-Hill earlier. As you can see, the progress bar is 0. Out of the 9 chapters that I specified, none of it has been initialized, which is why the progress bar is 0. Meaning the submit, approve, publish, and download functionalities are disabled. If we look at the second row under Pearson, the progress bar is completed to 100%, which means that it is ready for submission. All of these other projects are in different development stages of editing. So some of them are ready for approval by the quality lead. Some of them are ready for publishing by the project lead, also that it can be downloaded by all users. So this is the track projects page. I'm going to go back home and log out, and I'm going to hand this over to Victoria, who will show you the working beta site of our system.
Okay, and now to demonstrate our beta site, I am going to walk through a simple use case.